Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com. The Panasonic G9. A lot of people are talking about this. I've been getting asked a lot of questions. What do I think about it? What should I buy? Should I buy the G9 or should I buy the GH5 or should I still look at the G85? And a lot of valid questions. The G9 has made people ask a lot of questions because of what it offers. It's quite a interesting, if not unique beast. I was kind of surprised to see Panasonic introduce this. When I first heard rumblings of the G9, I thought it was going to be a replacement for the G85 that I'm shooting with right now, which you might think would make sense because G85, G9, I thought maybe we were just getting an update to the G85. Maybe perhaps the 20 megapixel sensor and some of the goodness from the GH5. But no, that is not what we got with the GH9, or the G9, I should say. What did we get with the G9? Well, let's take a look. Basically, we have a camera that is aimed at photographers. Still a very capable video camera, but a camera that is aimed more at photographers than at videographers. And that is Panasonic's gamble here, if you will, that there are enough photographer-centric shooters. In other words, people that are more interested in the photography end of things than in the video, but that may still want video capabilities, that want a camera like this. So what have they given us in the G9? They've given us the ability to shoot 80 megapixel still images. We've seen this type of thing before. You're basically combining a series of images, in this case 8 images, taken in rapid succession, and the sensor shifts in between each one. So you need to use a tripod in this case. But the result is a combined image that is 80 megapixel equivalent. That's a pretty big image. Pretty impressive. New tech from Panasonic, and that's in the G9. We've also got 6.5 stops of image stabilization. It gets this new upgraded in-body image stabilization, which is better than anything we've seen before. It's an image stabilization that is probably more beneficial to a photographer, and that's probably why they've introduced it in this, but definitely the latest and greatest in image stabilization, and we're getting it in this photocentric G9. Another thing we get, 20 frames per second burst shooting. That's pretty fast. It's pretty big, and again, aimed squarely at the photographers out there. 0.83 times magnification electronic viewfinder. They say it's the largest in its class. It's got a very high magnification factor, 0.83 times in 35 millimeter equivalent terms, and a very impressive, very nice 3680K dot resolution. So pretty impressive here too. Pretty impressive new viewfinder. And again, probably something aimed more at a photographer, in the sense that a photographer would probably appreciate this more than a videographer would. Now, on top of that, as I mentioned, this is still a very capable video camera. It's still capable of beautiful 4K footage at 60 frames per second. And while it may not have quite all of the bells and whistles that the GH5 offers, I think it offers most of it, which is pretty impressive, and hence where Panasonic's taking the gamble here. They're essentially taking a gamble that most people aren't just going to see the G9 as the better camera altogether, and they're going to, cannibalize sales from the GH5 to the G9. They're hoping and thinking that this is going to appeal to the photographers. The GH5 will appeal to the videographers, the video-centric people, the people that are more interested in video, and that they'll both sell well. And I think it is a bit of a gamble because the G9 could end up being all anybody needs for video and being the better camera all around, so people may end up going for the G9. Big reason for that is you've got these added features and the price is $300 less. We're sitting in at around $1,700 in US dollars for the G9. The GH5 is still about $2,000. So $300 less. It's not an inconsequential amount of money, especially when you factor in some of these cool new features and specs that you get in the G9 that you don't necessarily get in the GH5. So what's it all come down to? Well, essentially it comes down to you. Panasonic's just offering us more choice. They are offering us some differentiated choice in the sense that the GH5 is probably still arguably the better video camera here. The G9 is quite arguably the better photography camera here. I think where the gamble comes in is that a lot of people might see the G9 as the best of both worlds. I tend to lean that way without having my hands on it yet, and I'm hoping to get it in soon for review. That's kind of way I'm going, because I shoot video a lot, as you folks know, and I shoot a lot of photography still. And the G9 offers a lot of neat features and very photo capable stuff that the GH5 doesn't have, because the G9 is newer, and that I would probably like to have in the G9 and at less price. So this is where you have to decide. If you're a big filmmaker, if what you mostly do is video and you're always just doing video, perhaps the GH5 is still your cup of tea. If you're straddling that line of both in any way, I think the G9 is something you really want to look at, perhaps over the GH5, and when you take into account the cost savings. And then there's those of us that, like me, in the end, when it all settles out, probably I'm still better served on a value versus cost basis with something like the G85 that I'm shooting this with right now, which gives you most of the goodness of both of these cameras. Not all of it, but most of it at a fraction of the price. And that's where you come in. You have to decide what your needs are or your wants. Some of you will be needs if you're working professionally. Some of it will be wants, because if you're a hobbyist and you like to shoot, both of these cameras offer different things, and so does the G85 as well. You have to decide, how much do you want to spend for what? What meets your needs best at the best price point? What price point can you bear? And what meets your needs best? I think for a lot of people, this is going to be a tough decision, because I think the G9 looks like, even for people that are heavily into video, it's going to do enough of what they need in the GH5. I know for myself, it will. I don't use, and I wouldn't use, anywhere near the full capability of the GH5 for the type of filming and video that I do. The G85 has been plenty. It's a wonderful camera. So the G9 offers more than the G85, less than the GH5, but I'd still be getting more, and I'd be getting the advantages of these new photo features that are in the G9. The flip side of that is that I'm still very happy with the G85, and do I want to spend that additional large increase in money to upgrade from my G85 to the G9? This is, again, something that a lot of you are going to be considering. And you've got to weigh these new features, what they mean to you, how they address your needs or wants, and are they worth the money? For me, I'm probably fine to stick with the G85 and looking forward to its successor. I do want to get my hands on a G9 and play with it, but probably for me, cost and value equation works out to the G85 again when it all is said and done. For a lot of you, it may be the G9. The G9 may be that perfect camera that does everything good enough for you. Or you may be that person that still shoots mostly video and the GH5 still ticks your box. To confuse you even further, you may even not need the G85. The G7, its predecessor, is still a very capable camera, and a lot of people would be very well served with it at probably half the price of the G85. Not a succinct answer for you, but I'm giving you what you need to look at to consider how this affects you and how you should make your decision. You got to weigh your needs and your wants versus what these offer, and then is it worth it for the value? That's what you have to come down to. For me, again, G85 is great. If I was wealthy and price insensitive, I would probably have a G9 and a GH5. Trying to get the best bang for my buck and the best value for my money, the G85 suits me very well. And again, that's what you guys have to figure out. What your needs are, what your wants are, how they're met, and what you're willing to spend on them. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about the G9? Are you leaning towards it? Is it a better compromise for you to have the features of the G9 and lose a few of the bells and whistles of the GH5 so you wouldn't buy the GH5 now? Are you still somebody that wants the GH5 over the G9? Are you like me and the G85 will serve you fine and you don't need the G9 or the GH5? Or even maybe the G7 is your cup of tea. Let me know in the comments below. Let's discuss it a bit. How do you feel about the G9? What do you think of its offering? Do you think it's a big gamble for Panasonic? Does it fit into your purchase plans? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious to hear what you guys think of this really interesting offering from Panasonic. Love to hear your feedback as always, and let's discuss it. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon here at artoftheimage.com.